Big Buck Registry, Big Buck Podcast, episode number 1. All right, hello everybody. This is Jay Scott with the BigBuckRegistry.com and the Big Buck Registry podcast. This is episode number 1, so welcome. We have a great show for you today. We have a great lineup, and we're going to do some housekeeping today. What I'd like to do is just go over a bunch of things that I think is probably important to you. We're going to revisit the blog. We're going to take a look at our Facebook page. We're also going to take a look at how to submit a picture for a buck on our website for the contest. We're going to see how the contest is doing. Looks like there's about 60-something pictures that have been submitted for the contest. I'm going to go over the rules and some of the other things that have come because of this contest. I'm finding that there are some very interesting stories coming out of this. Also like to take a look at some notable bucks that have been posted, some interesting stories. And then finally, we have a special guest today, and his name is Tim Fitzgerald, and he is from the Gun Mitt, and he has created a very warm piece of apparel that is going to help us hunt longer in the field. So, without further ado, let's get started. One of the things I wanted to cover today is, why did I start the Big Buck Registry? Well, it all started basically because I have friends that over the years with the development of technology and smartphones, basically I was getting pictures of many bucks that my friends were shooting, and I'd send them pictures of bucks that I had taken, and it just got to be a very interesting exchange of smart technology, texting pictures, Facebooking pictures, and I got to thinking that it would be a great place with the development of Facebook if we could actually create a Facebook page where everybody, not only my friends, but just people across the United States could share their pictures of the deer that they've taken, share some of the experiences that they've had. There are always special stories that come out and are behind every single picture. So behind every picture that we have on Facebook, there is a fantastic story that goes behind it. I mean, just think about the adrenaline rush that you have when you harvest a big deer, the excitement that you have. It is all carried over into that picture, and you can tell that adrenaline is still pumping when you take that picture. So what I'm trying to do is to create a forum. I'm trying to create a museum of sorts of the pictures, of the stories that go behind the pictures, and post them in an area that people can talk about them forever, share them across the country, see what states are producing big deer and which ones have certain types of weather or patterns, or where big deer seem to be coming out the most or the least, or where the rut's coming in, and just give everybody a forum to do some communication, share their success, be proud of what you've done, and I think everybody so far has enjoyed seeing all the pictures. I certainly have. It's given me a great source of entertainment, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of, because of the stories that are coming in, it has really made the hunter human. And I say that only because there's so many times, I think, when we are put in a position where we are meant to, or we sometimes feel that we're frowned upon being in the hunting field, or just having a hunting passion. I got to tell you, that's not the case. We should be proud. We should be proud of what we do and the harvests that we have. And this is the forum to do so. So that's why I created the Big Buck Registry. I absolutely loved getting pictures from my friends, and I wanted to create a larger forum for everybody. And it's just developed into a quite excellent experience overall. So let's go to the blog. The blog is located at www.BigBuckRegistry.com. And the blog is a big piece of the puzzle here. Anytime that you submit a buck for nomination or just to submit a buck, period, there are several ways to do it, but one of the best ways to do it is to submit it through the Big Buck Registry Big Buck blog. You do so by going to BigBuckRegistry.com, and in the top right, just under the search bar, you'll see a little ticket there that says Submit a Buck. On occasion, we'll post it on the Big Buck Registry Facebook page on how to do that. But that's the number one way to submit a buck, because it's going to ask you. Actually, you can do a few different things. You can, if you push on the button, the first thing that comes up it says Submit a Buck. Please submit your deer photo or video. List your name in the caption. Tell us at least the state and year of the harvest. Write more if you can, and finally tag below if you are nominating a buck for Deer of the Year. So at the very bottom there is a tag. First you have to accept the terms of submission. You attach your picture or a video. You can write something if you want to. And then at the very bottom, if you're submitting that deer for Deer of the Year, in this case this is still eligible for Deer of the Year for 2012. Then that's how you click. You click there, and then fill in your email address and a name and submit. And then that comes to us. Then we'll start filtering through just to make sure that whatever comes in is actually a picture we want to post on our website. So that's the blog, BigBuckRegistry.com. The other neat part about this, especially the blog, is that on a Google search, if you have submitted a deer, we always label the name of the person that was associated with the deer. So you could technically go and Google your name, and your name is going to pull up the buck that you shot, because if we just do it on Facebook, it somehow gets lost frequently by the search engine. So if you ever can't find the link, if you ever can't find it, just Google your name and put the Tom Jones buck, and 9 times out of 10, the Google search engines will pick it up and bring you to the site where we're the BigBuckRegistry.com, and bring you to your picture on that site. So that's a very cool way to pick it up. All right, so some other ways to submit a deer. Anyway, let's back up. That's the blog. On the blog, you have a little bit about us, some tweets on the left, and you can see some other places, other people we're following on the blog itself. Also on top of the BigBuckRegistry.com is the Ask Us Anything. So if you have any questions at all for us, if you want to write in a story, ask us a question, give us some more information about a buck that you know about that might be missing some information, that's a good way to do it. You can also, at the very top, if you push the archive button, it'll show you every single deer in a very cool, picturesque way of all the deer that have been submitted to us. There's the RSS feed, and that's if you want to subscribe to the blog, you can click there. And let's see, what else? Oh, at the very, very top left, you have 2 buttons. One is the Big Buck Story Hotline, and that's 724-613-BUCK, 724-613-BUCK, and that is 2825. So 724-613-2825, and that'll bring you to a 3-minute hotline where you can call in your story. You can ask a question if you want to just leave us a message for anything. That's another place where you can do it instead of writing in. And finally, on the top left is a small button that says donate, and we're doing this because we love it. However, there are some costs associated with it, so if you can conjure up $5 or more, we could certainly use some money to offset some of the cost of maintaining the blog and the Facebook page. All right, so so that's the blog. Let's move on to the Facebook page. All right, so the Facebook page is a little different, has a different address. It is facebook.com/BigBuckRegistry. So there, there are a couple of things here that's going on. Number one, we're posting all the pictures that we get on Facebook that come or were submitted through the blog. So this is a great place to go and take a look. You will see the Deer of the Year nomination posted there as well. So if you go to the very top of the site, you can click on the Submit a Buck. That'll bring you to the blog if you want to submit a deer. You can check out top fans, and there are a bunch of fans that interact, and they'll tell you who's doing the most on our site. We are currently at 22,352 likes, and we are so happy that everybody has come out to join us there. I couldn't be more pleased because I get to see all these great deer that are being submitted. It's just a fun playground for us, and I'm just excited that we get to kind of curate this museum and forever and keep a place where everybody can go and see what's going on around the country for deer hunting. Just below that on the left, you'll see Deer of the Year nominations, and that we have 62 nominees so far. We have a couple more to add, but we're going to get to that shortly. You can always post something there. If you have some comment you'd like to make on the Facebook page, you can do so there. You can also post a photo or a video, and we love photos, but we also love videos, so don't feel like you have to just post a photo. Videos are great too. In fact, they're way more viral than photos, and usually tell an interesting story. We've had a couple of interesting submissions. One was there was a deer that had laid down, and it looked a hunter had gone up on top of it, and the thing stands up and takes off. Very short video, but I think it was 5 seconds long, but it spread rapidly. I think it had 10,000 views. Another one was a picture or a video of a very young buck that had come down off of a hill and actually came up to the hunter, and he's able to videotape it and pet it. We all know hunting is not that easy, but it is interesting to see what these animals will do from time to time. Okay, some other ways to contact us. You can, especially to submit a picture to the Facebook page and the blog, you can submit by email, which is photos@BigBuckRegistry.com. That's photos@BigBuckRegistry.com. You can post directly to our Facebook page. You can tag us if you want to from another picture. Any of the pictures that are posted online obviously go into a category called recent posts by others on Big Buck Registry. We are taking those and then resharing them on our main page so that it looks like we are also redistributing any of the posts by others to distributed by Big Buck Registry, so you don't have to scroll through a bunch of other places on the site to find those deer that are coming in. You can just get it posted or see it straight on our main line or our timeline. Another way to do it is obviously the BigBuckRegistry.com/submit. That is the link to the blog, and that's that same link on the blog that you can forward to. Again, that's www.BigBuckRegistry.com/submit. And then finally, if you'd like to call in a story instead of write it in, we're happy to hear about that. And that's 724-613-BUCK, 724-613-BUCK. That's 2825. So if you feel like giving us a call, leaving us a message, maybe you just shot a big deer and you'd like to let everybody know, we'd love to hear some of the audio on that. All right, so what else is going on here on the BigBuckRegistry.com? All right, so we've got some very notable bucks that have come in, and we would like to just take a quick look at some of those. All right, so we talked about the blog, we talked about the Facebook page, we talked about how to submit a buck for the contest or just in general. Any pictures of deer that are submitted will go to the Facebook page. They can also be posted on our blog. But we just gave you several ways to do that. So keep them coming in. I know deer season is wrapping up here in most parts of the country, I think except in the very south. But If you just haven't gotten around to it, if you're just hearing about us, certainly share the website with your friends. And that's, again, www.BigBuckRegistry.com. All right, so let's move on to the photo contest. Let's take a look at what is going on there. All right, so far, we launched this in November, and there's still time. I want to go over some of the rules for the Deer of the Year nomination. And so far, we have 62 pictures that have been submitted. And it looks like the winner, and the way this is going to work is whoever has the most likes by the end of January, I think it's January 31st, will be the winner of the contest. We have a first, second, third prize. First prize is a $200 cash prize. And then I think it's $50 for each second and third prize. I'll go through the exact rules here in a second. But as pictures are being submitted, they are getting posted, and this is where you go to vote. So if you have a buck on here, you want to be sharing this picture with all your friends. You want to get this out to as many people as you can. We have the biggest vote getter right now is, is the Dalton Campbell buck. And Dalton sent this picture in a while ago. It's had 312 people have liked it, 3 shares. We've had 21 overall comments. And Dalton's story is kind of interesting. It's he's a young man. He's sitting on top of the deer. He's got his hands underneath some very, very nice antlers. And you can tell he couldn't be more proud. He is grinning ear to ear. And his story, he actually wrote a little bit of a story here. It says, the story, I was in the stand with the muzzleloader. I shot a coyote at daybreak, missed that, walked all the way back to the house to get a reload, walked back to the stand, got there about 8:15, and she walked out and followed. Sounds like there was a doe that stepped out, and this buck followed that doe, and he was huge. It was the second buck he's ever shot, and he has been actually watching this buck since the summertime. So that's congratulations, Dalton. That's fantastic. And this is the type of story we're seeing. There was a 244-pounder by Jamie Boyd that's been posted from Lake County, Illinois. The Chelsea Hall buck. Chelsea is in third place currently. She has, let's see how many. She has 201 likes so far, 16 shares, 22 comments. And again, we're going only on the likes. So whoever has the most likes by the end of January will win the contest. Chelsea Hall actually wrote another story, which is kind of cool. We like to see some of the written stories coming in too. So this is my first deer ever. It was taken in Indiana and hasn't been scored yet, but he has 23 points, but we believe only 21 are scoreable. And he has a double main beam. Just a massive, massive deer. And Chelsea is absolutely pumped in this picture. It looks like she couldn't be happier. This deer, this is Chelsea's story. This deer had a pretty funny story just because my husband was with me, and he's a very serious hunter. And I'm not as serious as him, she says. We didn't get in the woods until almost 8, which he likes to do before daybreak. Not me. I'm not a fan of the dark. So that's fantastic. Once getting in, I couldn't sit still and get comfortable for the first spot. So we set up that morning to see, after seeing a doe, and I was wanting to move down the path a little further, to 2 persons in a stand, spooking 2 deer, seeing some turkeys. We made it to the stand after 5 minutes. And then we saw 3 does and 4 more does, and then I was tired of sitting, and I was getting cold, ready to go by my husband. But my husband said, just wait 5 more minutes, and Chelsea says she's glad she did because she listened. She's glad that she listened to her husband. She stayed a little bit longer because just a few minutes after that, the big guy walked out right out in the field. Looks like she took the deer with a nice rifle. So congratulations, Chelsea. That's fantastic. And we're going to continue to share more stories about each and every one of the bucks that have been submitted for the contest, and we're going to find some other notable bucks too. But those are just a couple that we've picked out. There's one fantastic picture on the site of a young man who actually has 111 likes right now. His name's Cameron Criddle, and it looks like this is Cameron's first buck. The picture is just phenomenal. You have a great background. Cameron looks thrilled to be holding the buck. Looks like it was a little bit later in the season, so congratulations to Cameron. Let's see, one other notable buck that I wanted to talk about, and again, we're going to go through a bunch of these deer as time goes along in January because I want to get as many likes on these pictures as we can. But one of the bucks that I really wanted to point out is a buck it's called the J.D. Walley buck. And if you look at this picture, there's an older gentleman. He is staring off just past the deer. He's in a brown shirt, and he appears to be kneeling next to the buck that he just shot. Clearly happy to be there. But as I learned later, a fellow by the name of Ken Boykin sent in this photo, and it's actually very interesting, and it's inspiring, and we should never not go hunting again. J.D. Walley, and this is what Ken wrote, Mr. J.D. is 71 years old, has no legs, and very little use of his left arm. He actually crawled 100 yards, dragging his gun behind him to get to his stand. I think the love and passion he has for hunting is totally awesome. You know what? Ken? We couldn't agree more. The next time you feel like sleeping in, just think of J.D. Walley. He's getting out there every day. He's going hunting, and he has harvested a fantastic deer, a big buck, and he doesn't let anything get in his way. And that's a lesson not only in hunting but in life. We should never let any obstacle prevent us or make us think that we can't do something. This is a classic example of exactly that. So thank you, JD. Keep up the great work. We'd love to get you on a podcast at some point and just hear your story. We understand you're a war veteran, and thank you for your service. But we'd like to talk to you some more about your deer hunting and your passion, and we couldn't be more impressed. It's just a fantastic story. All right, so moving along, so that's the Facebook page. Let's talk about the contest rules a little bit. We've got contest rules. We have a $200 cash prize. The winners will be announced March 1st. And you can go to the Facebook page. You'll see all the rules there. If there's a picture of a buck on here that you'd like to nominate that isn't already on in the album for the contest, and again, all the pictures that are being voted upon are in the album. They're not scattered all over the site. They are solely in the Facebook page album called Nominees for Buck of the Year 2012. That's where you have to go to vote. That's where we're putting all those pictures. If you have a duplicate picture on our site that's the same picture, it doesn't count. It's got to be shared from within the album. And there's a specific way you do it. Basically, all you have to do is right-click on the link. So you take your picture, wherever you find it that's in that album, right-click. It'll give you a website address to share with all your friends. And if you have any questions about that, just shoot us an email. Questions at BigBuckRegistry.com. We can take care of you there. All right, so here are the rules. We have a first place cash prize of $200, second place cash prize of $75, and a third place cash prize of $25. Next year, we're hoping to have some other sponsors, and maybe if some money comes in through the donations, we'll be able to turn it around and increase our winnings there for everybody. The last day to nominate a buck is January 31st, and you can nominate by clicking on the nominate link that's found on the Facebook page. right at the top where all the top pictures are, just below the picture of the buck in our logo. So if you see a picture of a deer that you really like that's on our Facebook page, you can go and nominate that buck, even if nobody else has. If it's in the album, it's already been nominated. But if there's another deer that you'd like to nominate that's already on the Facebook page, you can just send in a nomination form. The second way, obviously, is to send in or submit a buck, wherein you just check off at the very bottom that you want to nominate that buck for the Deer of the Year. So we'll accept it that way as well. So voting and liking. So liking and voting are one and the same here. Every picture that's in that album, all the voting, all the liking ends February 28th. So last day to get a buck in for the nomination or to submit a buck for the contest is January 31st. Then everybody's going to vote for 1 month through February 28th, and on March 1st, the winners will be announced. We'll announce it on Facebook. We'll announce it in our podcast. We will also announce it on our blog. And we will notify the 3 winners by email if we have their email, or we'll find them somehow. So let's see. So that's the contest. Keep sending in the deer. There's got to be some more out there. We've had pictures submitted from all across the country. Every buck is equally important. There is a story behind everything. So please keep sending in those pictures of those deer. Everybody wants to see them, and we want to make sure that this contest goes as large as it can. All right, so we've covered the blog, the Facebook page, how to submit a buck. We've reviewed the photo contest, and we've talked about some notable bucks, the J.D. Walley buck in particular. Just a fantastic story. So, guys, if you have a second, go check out the J.D. Walley buck. It's absolutely an amazing man, person, hunter, veteran. Just incredible that he hunts. He shoots big deer. He shoots big bucks, and he doesn't have any legs. So take a look at that photo on the Facebook page. All right, so moving on, we have a very special guest today. We're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Tim Fitzgerald from the Gun Mitt. And I had an opportunity to speak with Tim quite a bit about his product, and it's a very interesting product. It's made of neoprene, but it basically allows you to have skin-to-gun contact at all times and without your hands getting cold. And it slips over a shotgun. You can slip your hand in the side. Stays nice and snug and warm and secure. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing worse than having your finger stick to a very, very cold firearm. We get that in the northern states for sure. So we're going to listen to Tim. And so we'll be back in just a minute, and then we'll listen to Tim talk about the Gun Mitt. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Jay Scott with the Big Buck Registry and the Big Buck Registry podcast. And I am here with Tim Fitzgerald. He's a very special guest of ours today. And Tim is the owner of the Gun Mitt. And it's one of those products that I have seen online. It's fascinating. I haven't seen anything like it. And I invited Tim to join us today to talk about it and give us some insights on how it's going to help us in the field. So, Tim, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Great. Wow, just flattering introduction. That's very kind of you. But, yeah, appreciate the invite, and happy to talk about the Gun Mitt any chance I get.
Excellent. Well, I have been online, and I've been going through some of the pictures, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'd like to first just kind of listen a little bit about you, where you're from, how you got into, or what inspired you to create the Gun Mitt. So what is it about the Gun Mitt that inspired you?
Yeah, well, I grew up, I'm from Kansas. I live in Kansas City now. Mm-hmm. And so grew up, Western Kansas pheasant hunting is kind of stuff of lore. It used to be, I guess, before the drought years. And so grew up doing that and hunting ducks and quail and just mostly a bird hunter. But, we've got a ton of deer hunting up here as well. And it was one of those days where it was just really cold and slow hunting, and we're doing a lot of walking. And, you you're tempted to put on a really thick mitten or something because your hands are freezing. But then after all that walking, you don't want to miss your only shot because you've got some kind of mitten on that you can't get the safety or the trigger. So, it's kind of that dilemma that everybody had. And so I thought about it, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if you could somehow wear a mitten? And I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I wrote some things down, and after about a year of thinking about it, put together a prototype sleeve that became the gun mitt.
That's excellent. Are you an entrepreneur or a engineer or anything like that by trade?
No, not by trade. Just I'm a sales guy by trade, and entrepreneur kind of for fun, and hopefully by trade at some point. If we'll see. But it's I don't know. I'm very mechanically inclined. I grew up with remote control cars and stuff like that, taking things apart and building things. So no stranger to starting from scratch and creating something.
That's cool. Just had one of those great ideas, and waking up one morning in that cloud, and you're like, hey, this seems to be a good idea.
Well, yeah, and it was funny because it wasn't like an epiphany or some aha moment, but I wrote a bunch of the stuff down, and I figured, well, hey, if I do this, I'm going to have to learn a lot of things that I don't know how. Like, how do I file a patent? How do I get a website going? How do I set up online payment? Just, all these things I didn't know how to do, and I figured even if I didn't ever sell a gun mitt, or if people told me this was the stupidest idea ever, I was going to learn a lot by going through the process. And, so it kind of hit me. There's actually this product called bar mitts, which is for a bicycle.
Yep.
And I saw this in a magazine because I read Bicycling Magazine. And I thought, man, like if people are buying this for a summer sport so that they can ride in the winter, maybe this would really work because hunting, of course, is a winter and cold weather sport. So I just kind of decided at that point I'd dive into it and see what happened.
Excellent. Very nice. So tell us how it works. It looks like it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and the reason that gloves fail, and I mean anybody that's been to a hunting store knows that there's probably 300 different pairs of gloves. I don't know. Yep. The reason the gloves don't work is because there's so much surface area with each finger individually wrapped, and so what we found in our testing is the cold weather is not really what has the biggest impact on lowering hand temperatures, but it's once you add just a little bit of wind, it becomes really, really ineffective, the glove that is, at keeping the hand warm. So the trick is, and anybody that's worn a mitten understands that when you put all your fingers in the same pouch and the heat builds off of one another, there's a lot less surface area there for the wind to get to. All of a sudden you can stay very warm even when the temperatures are very cold. So with the gun mitt, the concept was simply how do we get all the fingers, the entire hand in one compartment or pouch so that the wind will stay off of them and it can heat itself and operate more like an oven.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like, I've been in the field and I've brought the wrong glove, and I didn't have a mitten, but I've always, anytime I had the mitten style glove, it always kept my hands warmer than if I had a glove with just the finger fits.
Right.
So that's kind of the same concept here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the difference is, because I've got a bunch of those gloves too where, you've seen the ones where they're kind of cut off fingers and then you've got the mitten piece that flips over. And so those, I found, of course, you're wearing it mitten style just to stay warm. And with this, when I started going about it, I was like, well, I was very familiar with what was out there because in my hunting bag, I was used to carrying 5 or 6 right-hand gloves because I'm a right-hand shooter and I want, of course, the best feel on the gun that I can get.
Yep.
So I was really familiar with what was out there, but nothing was working. So it ended up kind of pretty simply creating the criteria that this thing had to be built to, and then just very throughout the process just stuck to that above all and came out with something that seems to work.
Very cool. Now there are other products on the market right now, or is this a one and only?
Well, I've been up and down the aisles at all the outdoor stores. I've Googled all over the place before starting the project, and I haven't seen anything like it. In our patent searches and everything, we didn't find anything that talked about this kind of concept. So as far as I know, I don't believe there's anything out there that does what this does.
Excellent. That's I haven't seen anything like it. So, and I shop a lot for hunting apparel, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, you'd be a good guy to ask, and that's good news to hear.
That's very cool. Now, it looks like, based off of the website, that it's pretty much for a shotgun. Is that correct?
Yeah, right now it's set up just for shotguns.
Okay.
So it fits really well for the upland hunter. I actually just talked to a a deer hunter in Michigan today, who hunts with, I believe he called it a Beretta Encore, which is a gun.
Yep.
And so he's found a way to fit it on there, I guess, by taking the barrel off ahead of the cantilever and sliding it on. So right now it is just for shotguns. But actually, we've done some talking with some ex-military snipers, and they think it would make sense for the sniper platform and some SWAT guys with the MP4. So it will probably be the kind of thing where, we'll try and adapt the concept to that and see if we can be any help to those people who are taking care of us. But at the moment, yes, it's just the shotguns.
Excellent. I could see that working for a lot of our listeners because in certain spots of each state and certain states, period, you can only use a shotgun for deer hunting.
Gotcha.
So, and believe me, in certain northern states and even into Canada, Saskatchewan, it gets frigid late in the season. I mean, to the point where you just don't even want to be there. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, we continue to research and find like old studies that the Navy SEALs have done on heat loss versus dexterity and people's ability to complete simple tasks. And it's really amazing how fast that drops off once hands start to drop just like 10 or 20 degrees.
Yep.
But, what's interesting also is that as we get older, we're finding a lot of people, especially older hunters, are coming out of the field because they don't have the circulation anymore that used to allow their hands to stay warm.
Yep.
And so they're coming out of the field because of cold hands, and we're hoping that we can help them kind of keep hunting while everything else is working and keep their hands in the game.
Yep. And one thing I know for sure, too, is that the better the gear you bring into the field, the longer you can stay, the more time you can spend there, the better off you're going to be. And this with the cold weather that comes in late in the season, certain spots of the country, this is going to be one of those gifts that you get that will allow you to actually be successful in the field because you have the right equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what it comes down to is you go from having a whole bunch of equipment to just one piece of equipment that's the right piece of equipment. And so when you're getting ready to go hunting, you don't have to pack up 6 or 7 gloves anymore. You just grab your gun mitt and you're ready to roll.
Yep. And it looks like this would be great for stand hunting, sitting for long periods of time. Especially when you're touching the metal, your hands get absolutely. They're cold enough already, but then you touch a piece of metal and they could stick to it, just like your tongue sticking to a piece of metal when it's frozen. So I just want to go through a couple things on the website that I was looking at. Looks like it comes in a variety of colors. Looks like you've got a white, a couple different camos, and an orange. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So far, and actually on the website, it's probably a good time to mention we're in development right now with probably what's going to be called the bow mitt, which will be kind of the same concept for a bow release. So for the bow hunting deer hunters out there, that'll be along pretty soon. But right now, it's in orange and white for the snowy hunts and the super cold stuff, and then a camouflage that seems to work well. It actually looks a lot like the real tree stuff, which that'll be along too probably by next season. But it's a really nice pattern. It looks really good on the camouflage shotguns.
Excellent. It's made of neoprene. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the outside is neoprene, and it's a few millimeters thick, which allows it to kind of move around, but it creates a waterproof and windproof outer layer, which is pretty essential. And then it's insulated with synthetic insulation, actually using Thinsulate. And then on the inside, you've got a liner really similar to like a sock liner that wicks moisture.
Yep.
So it's all around synthetic. So if you end up like, say you're walking through a big marsh or something and you drop it in the marsh, you can just kind of shake it out like you would a a hat or something, and it's going to be ready to insulate.
You know, one of the things when you're deer hunting that's so essential is scent control. What is this? This is a weird question, but for deer hunters, I think it's important. What does it smell like? Does it smell like a neoprene synthetic?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that it's really got too much of a scent to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the neoprene on the outside, I would think is not going to smell like an exposed rubber glove, because it's got a nylon layer over it, and that's how you get that's how you get color or a pattern on a neoprene, is you add a layer of nylon like that.
Okay.
So it's probably not going to smell like a whole lot of anything. I mean, it's the type of thing you could throw it through the wash, or you could, you could roll it in the dirt or whatever you wanted to do with it to mask the scent. But what's also very cool is if you wanted to put a scent blocker or any kind of scent creator over the outside, you could just pour it over, and it'll kind of hold that scent on the outside in the nylon, but it's not going to go through the neoprene and get on your hand or anything.
Gotcha. That was my next question. Can you wash it? Because one of the things you always want to try to do is wash, and then I like to leave my stuff outside and just let it gather outside scents, whatever's coming through, so it kind of blends into the background.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to do, and you can totally do that with it. Absolutely.
Okay. It looks like you have a military camo version as well. Is that for sale, or is it just something that's on the picture?
Yeah, that's actually a picture that I'm working on getting changed, because I keep getting that question. But the original prototype was made in a military camo, simply because I was needing to buy some stuff online in a small quantity, and that's what they had. So the original was done in that digital camo, but and we may come back out with a version of that later. But right now, for example, like we've actually completed a deal with Realtree that's not been announced yet, so we'll be coming out with a bunch of their patterns here by the beginning of next season.
Very cool. All right, are there any specific kinds of shotguns that it won't fit?
The only kind of shotgun it won't fit is a bolt-action shotgun.
Okay.
And I guess like with the slug guns, that's more common, but I've only seen one bolt-action shotgun in my life that was intended for bird hunting.
Right. Okay. Very cool. All right, so we've looked at the website. Tim, how can our listeners reach you?
Excellent. Well, email is really the best. It's the quickest and most attentive way. However, I know that people like to hear from people and talk with people too. So, in the event that somebody says, "Hey, I got a question, I want a phone call," we're still fielding phone calls and talking with people, because we like to hear what you think. And just shoot us over a phone number, a way to reach in that email. And in fact, they can reach me directly. My email address is just Tim, and that's TIM, @gunmitt.com.
Okay.
So it goes right to me, and still very, very happy to hear from people and thoughts, positive, negative, whatever they are, because we're constantly working on improving the thing.
Excellent. So you've got a website, gunmitt.com. That's GUNMITT.com.
Yep.
The email is tim@gunmitt.com.
You got it.
Okay, and you've got a Facebook page. I think we've actually gone and liked your page from BigBuckRegistry.
Excellent.
And you have a Twitter, because I think that's how we first connected, was on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and so far that's all we're doing for marketing efforts. Not too much going on, and we're actually so we're going to SHOT Show here in a couple weeks in Vegas to continue conversations with the big stores, and we're trying to make that happen. So until then, it's all over Twitter and over Facebook, and then over the website. Very
cool. And it looks like you have an online buying capabilities as well. So if they go to your website, they go to gunmitt.com, they can buy online, check out, and you'll mail it to them?
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. It's real simple. You just go to gunmitt.com, you pick the picture of whatever you want, and you can add quantities. If you want to buy several different colors, you can go back out to the continue shopping, basically, but it's kind of just like buying off of eBay or Amazon or anything else. And you'll check out. You can pay by credit card, and actually you can share with your listeners here if you plug in the word Twitter on checkout, that'll give you free shipping. So that's something that we can do. That's a little bit special, but we use that code for our Twitter followers as it is. And so you just punch that in, and then enter your address. It's very quick, just a couple of screens, and then we'll mail it right out, and it gets there pretty quick.
That's very cool, Tim. I just reading some of the testimonials on your page. Some pretty good ones here. Where's the good one here that I really liked? The neoprene shell is awesome. Great for bird, squirrel, or rabbit hunters. Fits well on my 870 Remington Wingmaster. Thinking of deer hunting with slugs, shells this winter, gun mitt is the only way to go. So it kind of sums it up right there, I think.
Yes, it's we've been real fortunate. A lot of the people that have tweeted us, and we reached out, said, hey, can we put your stuff on the website? And they were thrilled to do it. So some nice people out there that are helping us along. And, it's been fun through the Twitter thing.
So, Tim, how can people reach you by phone?
Yeah, so by phone, we've got just a local number set up, which is 913-390-3924, and goes to our team, and we typically aren't able to get to that, but typically I'm the one that will be able to call you back on it. Okay,
very cool. All right, Tim, we're going to put all the links, all the phone numbers to the gun mitt on our blog, and you're going to have all the show notes right there, so we can list everything we just talked about. Everything's going to go on to the blog and connect back to your site. So if people want to, they'll listen to us. They can then go to the notes and then click directly to the gunmitt.com to check it out and buy it if they want to try it out.
Yeah, excellent, wonderful.
Excellent, Tim. Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you for giving us a great insight into what appears to be a great product for some cold weather hunting. Certainly looks like it's going to make us all stay out there a little bit longer, which will lead to some success in the field. So I appreciate it, Tim.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for the time today, Jay.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you at a show somewhere, I'm sure.
Wonderful, yeah, and for anybody that's at Vegas SHOT Show, we'll be walking around with gun mitts hanging off a backpack or something, so we'll be around. Say hello.
Very cool. I appreciate it.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, take care, Tim.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was Tim Fitzgerald from the Gun Mitt. He has a very cool product, and if you'd like to check it out, again, it's gunmitt.com. That's GUNMITT.com. You can order online, and Tim has passed along a special free shipping code for everybody, all of our listeners. And if you just type in Twitter, you'll get free shipping on the checkout. Again, gunmitt.com, GUNMITT.com, and use the special code Twitter when checking out. All right, so just a couple things we're going to wrap up. If you have any other news or information about hunting that you'd like to share with us, please shoot us an email, and that's questions@BigBuckRegistry.com. And if you know of any hunting expos that are going on, as the hunting season is wrapping up, seems to launch the hunting expo season. We're certainly interested in learning about whatever's out there around the country. We've posted a couple of expos on our Facebook page, so please go there and check it out. And if you know of anybody else that or any other events going on, we'd like to hear about it. And let's see. So finally, tell your friends, tell your family. Don't forget to, about BigBuckRegistry.com, don't forget to submit a deer if you've had a good harvest. Even send in the deer that you don't think are very big, because some of the best pictures are pictures that aren't the bucks, but maybe a doe and a duck. There was one picture submitted at 2 does and a duck. We thought that was kind of interesting. So tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your coworkers, tell your co-hunters about the BigBuckRegistry.com. Get them set up for next year. If they've harvested a big buck in 2012, tell them to submit their buck for the contest. Again, $200 going out, cash prize, first place. So that's about it. This is Jay Scott, your host from Big Buck Registry and the Big Buck Registry podcast. We are here to promote the long tradition of deer hunting. Hunt early, hunt often, stay late, and you'll put a big buck in the crosshairs. So this is Jay Scott signing off for the Big Buck Registry podcast, and we'll see you next time.